Hey guys, so you might notice I sound a little bit better. That's because I got a new microphone. Yay! So I won't sound like I'm talking out of a tin can anymore. This is awesome. So, today I really wanted to talk about deity dedication. So I'm just going to jump right into it and kind of discuss my own experiences and then kind of my own thoughts on deity dedication. This is going to be geared a little bit more towards your any of you who are first stepping into the pagan path. And if you have any questions about deity dedication and what it means and all that. So it's going to be kind of the basics, but also very much laced with my own experiences. As always, I really want to preference that this is my own experiences. This is what works for me. So please take that with what you will and follow your own path. Um, so as you guys know, I recently, for the first time ever in like 20 years I've been pagan, have dedicated myself to a deity. I now have claimed Freyja as my matron deity, and this was something that was long coming. And over the last few months, particularly, it really started to ramp up where I could feel that this was where this was going to go. And it was terrifying for me. I've never claimed deity as a matron or a patron. And the reason why is because, first of all, I never felt called to. And that's okay. If you don't feel called to do that, then don't. Take your time with it. I think a lot of, um, I don't want to say beginner pagans, but I guess the best way to describe it would be anybody who's new to this path. They step into it and they see other pagans talking about their deities and the connection that they have with them. And either they have yet to make any connection with a deity, or they really long for that well established connection that could be described as a matron or patron deity. And you don't need that right away. You need to let that sort of organically blossom. The other thing that I'd really encourage with this is take that really kind of goes into the whole message of take your time is look at developing a relationship with a deity, a connection with a deity, as developing any personal relationship in your life. This is a personified being, if you want to look at it that way, that you are connecting yourself to, that you're interacting with on a very deep level, on a very spiritual level. And the same can be said about those who you choose to keep close to you. When you're getting to know someone, you don't just jump right into the most intimate parts of getting to know a person. And I don't mean just physically, I just mean really bearing your soul or really having that deep trust. These are things that are earned. And you should look at this the same way when it comes to personified deity and building that connection. Now, I chose not to have a matron or a patron deity for, as I said, 20 years, almost 21 at this point now. And again, why that was is I never felt called to it, but I also was scared, to be perfectly honest. Um, to me, taking on such an oath is a very sacred, very deep thing. And it was such a process to do this, but it was such a healing process. And I waited until I really felt ready. Freyja came to me 5 years ago, almost six now, when I was pregnant with my second son. And it wasn't like I had a profound experience with her. I just suddenly felt drawn to understand her, to know her, to learn her story. Shortly after that, I found myself purchasing a statue of her. And a statue, if I have a statue of a deity in my home, that's a big commitment, in my opinion, because I'm bringing their energy into my home. So when I felt drawn to do that pretty quickly, I knew that there was a reason why. But over the next few years, it would be a very slow process of me just feeling out if I really felt that connection with her or not. And having a matron deity wasn't really on my mind. The other thing, and I've made a video about this, I think I made it right around Samhain, that I really want to bring up because I honestly was a bit wrong in some of my thoughts on that, is that I started to understand that, at least for me, dedicating myself to a deity needed to be a very intimate thing. And I made it as such. I really sort of connected to all that Freyja represents to me, her aspects that I deeply connect to. And those are her fierceness, her love, her sexuality. So for me and my dedication, I specifically sort of played into that as well as the magic aspect. I did perform the ritual Skyclad. I've never done that before. I invoked her into me. I've never done that before either. I made sure to really look the part and kind of open up that shapeshifter aspect of it too, which is something that Freyja is associated with. And I did up my makeup in a ritualistic fashion. I did a cleansing before the ritual, and I really tried to remain comfortable in myself and my body and my sexuality, because that is what Freyja represents to me. And those are the things that she has brought to me that have been rewarding. So, if you choose to do a deity dedication, understand that that is one of the most rewarding things that can come from it, is the very fact that you can actually play on that deity and their specific personalities, their mythologies, their symbols, really get into it in that sense. The other thing that I really want to talk about is oaths. And in the other video that I where I discussed deity dedication, I had said that I was apprehensive to take an oath because things change. Change is the only thing that's consistent in life. And that is what kept me from doing this for quite some time, was that fear. um so I had finally decided that I would accept that change if it came. If for some reason someday later on down the line Freyja moves away from me, then I will accept that as what it is and that it's meant to be. Um, but oaths, they are not to be taken lightly, and they are something to very much consider, really, really thinking over, and it's all in how you word it. For Freyja specifically, and how I chose to incorporate that and welcome that change should it ever happen, is to keep that in mind, for one, in my intention with my dedication, but also to understand that should she walk with me for however long she does. I included that phrase in there to basically say this is what I want to do for now, and if things go a different direction eventually, I welcome that too. But I want to deepen our connection, and I want to explore this, and this is where we're going with it. Now, in the Norse path specifically, you may hear about oath rings. Now, this is very often used in Norse paganism as a way to show your oath to the Norse gods. Um, while this can be done in a public ritual, and there is something to be said about having that group energy and tapping into that, that is palpable and it's powerful. You don't necessarily have to do it that way. You don't even necessarily have to wear an oath ring if you don't want to, or you can wear a different version of an oath ring, per se. Mine, for example, is I actually had this ring made. It says in the runes on it, I don't know if I can get my camera to focus very well, but it says in the runes on it, daughter of Freyja. And I personally did not want to use the traditional oath rings that you might find, the armbands, because I knew that on a practical sense, I wouldn't be comfortable wearing it. It would drive me nuts, and I didn't want that. So I also wanted to incorporate the power in our hands, and the magic that goes into everything that we create from our hands. So I figured that a ring would be a really good way to incorporate that, because my hands craft my magic. My hands do so much. My hands direct energy. My hands are really a very powerful tool. And I also chose to put this on my dominant hand. So that is how I chose to incorporate having a amulet or a piece of jewelry as an oath that I wear on my body every day. You can do a necklace. You can even do earrings or body jewelry. You can get a tattoo if you want to. Just keep in mind the permanency of that. You can also do um, if you have any sort of piercings or anything like that, you can get a piercing done in that sense for a deity. But it doesn't necessarily even have to be a physical thing that you wear on your body every day. You don't have to incorporate that into your dedication if it doesn't feel right. That's just something that I personally wanted to do because I've always been pulled to um, like amulets and magical jewelry and things like that. Um, I love putting my intention into things that I wear, things that I see every day. That's just something that I personally find very powerful. And my first connection with that actually was learning what a rosary was. Um, but again, you don't have to incorporate that into your dedication. It can be just between you and your deity in silent, hushed words said at the altar. Or you can make a grand spectacle about it, whatever you want. Just let your intuition guide you and understand that this is not something that should be taken lightly, and it is not something that you should rush into. Follow your intuition, and it will guide you to where you need to go. That is what happened with me, and I took a very big step. It's huge for me, massive. I've never done this before. And in the 20 years I've been pagan, I broke a lot of firsts in that ritual. But it was I don't even think I have the proper words for it. It was incredibly empowering. And I'm very grateful that I found the courage to do that. And now I have my lady to guide me. And I also have other deities in my practice that I can continue to nurture that experience with in different ways. So I hope that this video was helpful, kind of just discussing deity dedication and my experience with it, as I actually just did it on my birthday, not even a week ago now, at the time that I'm filming this. But it was a very powerful experience, and I'm very grateful to have the courage to do it. So if you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And I think that's all I've got for you today. As always, thank you for watching, and blessed be.